I was born in Boonville, Mississippi. It's just about 18 miles south of here. I grew up in a small little, it's not even a town, a community called Cairo, and it was right in the corner of Alcorn, Prentiss, and Tishomingo counties, which made up Old Tishomingo County before 1870. My grandparents, one set lived at Jacinto, and the other set lived at Rienzi. So both were in Alcorn County, and I was pretty much raised in this area. When we did our grocery shopping and such, we came to Corinth for the most part, and they said that just the county girl. We did things that all country kids do, you know, climb trees, play in the mud puddles. My grandparents, my Armstrong set of grandparents, actually lived on the court square at Jacinto. So when I say we, my sister, my cousins, we really grew up around the courthouse, really not realizing the historic significance of it until later. We just kind of used it as a huge playhouse. You know, we'd run up the stairs and sit in the courtroom and pretend that we were having court and things such as that. And Jacinto had been such a flourishing community before the Civil War came along, and there, if you look back at the records now, you can find saloons, and there were schools and hotels, and looking at it these days, you couldn't tell. There's a church, and the courthouse is still there, and a fire department and a community center. So, but it was once flourishing, and when we were young, playing, as I told you before we got on film, there were so many wells in that small community that my grandparents would warn us not to get in the wells because they were frightened. I know there were 3 or 4 just on their property. So you can imagine what was near a well, you know, if it was this. And my grandfather had a picture of the old jailhouse, and they hung people at the old jailhouse. So it was there. It's not there any longer. Now the Jacinto Foundation runs the courthouse. It was scheduled for demolition in the 1960s, and some folks saved it. There was one lady from here in Corinth who actually laid down in front of the bulldozers to keep them from raising the courthouse. That's about an 1854 structure. There was one there before, and then they built that one. So now it's a museum. They have what's called the Old Country Store right across. They have a park there. The Old Country Store, as a child, they sold ice cream cones for $0.25. So we were always begging my grandmother for a quarter, and we would just walk to the store and from her house and get a big cone of ice cream. And I know the ladies that worked in there, we got a lot for our quarter. So we were always doing little odd jobs for my grandma as well, so that we could go and get ice cream at the courthouse.